I can look at behaviors of man. I can look at what humans do.
Yep.
And I can trace it to evolutionary behaviors.
Yep.
Also, I just read a book about it actually. It's
I would
called
agree.
The Science of Sin.
They are rooted in our genetics.
But I don't. It's neither. For me, it's neither bad or good. It's what we've evolved to do. But we have apparently free choice, so we can choose what way we act. In certain contexts, we consider murder to be okay. In certain contexts, we consider this and this to be okay. So, what I'm trying to say to you is, if it's saying that this is sin, this is wrong, it's ordained by a higher being, I can just look at our nature and look at what happens in the natural world, and look at our history and see how it works in the mind.
Okay, I'm going to have to reply and then I'm going to have to go.
All right.
So, let's just be clear about the way that Christianity works. Christianity isn't about following a series of laws and rules.
That's part of it.
No, it isn't. Christianity is not about following a system of laws and rules. It is an ontological faith, which means that it is concerned with being. It is concerned with how you are as a human, okay? As a being that exists in time and space and relationship. And it says that ontologically, human beings are selfish, self-interested creatures. Okay? The selfish gene, as I'm sure you know. Now, the reality is that selfishness is the cause of all our injustices. That selfishness is the cause of all our failed relationships. That selfishness is the cause of all our brokenness. And incidentally, there's not a jot we can do about it. It's rooted in the mind, it's coded in the blood. It's rooted in the mind and it's coded in the blood. And every attempt to correct it, like communism, like Nazism, like Islam, have all failed. Why? Because they're fighting against human nature. The reason why capitalism works is because it doesn't fight against human selfishness, it embraces human selfishness, and that is exactly why, as a system, it is so effective in governing society. Now, as Christians, we believe that selfishness, that sinfulness, has separated us from God and made us inward-looking. And God has dealt with the effects of that sin on the cross. By his crucifixion, the effects of sin.
No, so you don't have time.
Yeah. Because it has eternal consequence in terms of the fear of death, in terms of death of the soul. Right. And in his teaching, he gives us a corrective, and that corrective is to love. That we ontologically should be beings that, rather than being consumed by our natural selfishness, should die to the self, throw off the old man, and be illuminated by Christ, reflect his light in the world, and live a life as closely by love as we can. So connecting that to our earlier discussion, that means that love should be the dominating characteristic of the Christian faith, which means that we should pursue peace, we should pursue concord, and we should pursue justice. Which means, because we talked about violence, that things like violence, aggression, are something that only exist at the peripheries of our life, and only become justified when the circumstances around us push us into that extreme. But in every normal setting and context, we should pursue peace with our neighbours, with ourselves, with our brothers and sisters in Christ, and with God. And that by doing that, we become more like God. We reflect God more clearly in the world around us. His image becomes clearer through us so that other people can see it.
Right.
And that is essentially the Christian life I'm inviting you. Now let me ask you this question on leaving. Does that sound so bad?
It depends on exactly what you mean by love. I would need that super defined.